Hi everyone, and welcome to today's third grade math lesson. It is going to be on word problems using division, and I'm going to give you a brief run through of what this lesson will look like. So first, we're going to start off by reviewing some vocabulary words. After that, we'll be reviewing 3 strategies that we can use for division word problems. Next, we'll be solving for some word problems that involve equal groups, arrays, and measurement quantities, such as those found in recipes. And after that, we'll be recapping and concluding the lesson. So for this math lesson, you will need paper and pencil, as well as some counting manipulatives. So if you have 30 to 40 beans or beads or gold stars, whatever you have, that will work. So first, let's review some vocabulary. So our first vocabulary word is going to be multiplication, and multiplication is when we multiply the rows by the columns to get the final product. So if I have 5 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so first row, second row, third row, fourth row, and fifth row, so 5 rows, and 2 columns, so I'm going to add my second column right next to the first column. So if I have 5 rows by 2 columns, then I would count up my total number of stars to find the product for the multiplication. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 stars, so that would be my product. So 5 rows times 2 columns equals 10. So that's multiplication. Now division is the opposite. Division is when you start out with 10 stars, or any number of stars, and you divide them equally into a certain amount of groups to find the number that is going to be in each group. So for example, if I start off with a total of 10 stars, and I want to divide it into 2 groups, then I could put my first star in my first group and my first star in my second group, then a second star in my first group and a second star in my second group, and then keep on dividing or sharing these equally one by one until they're all gone. So if I had 10 stars total and divided them into 2 groups, then the number of stars in each group would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my first group, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my second group. Notice that both groups have 5 stars, and this leads right into our next vocabulary word of equal groups. Equal groups is when there's the same amount in each group, So if one group has 5 stars, that means that the other group also needs to have 5 stars. That's what equal groups are. So these 2 groups are equal groups. Another vocabulary word is arrays, which are rows by columns. So if I wanted to do a 2 by 3 array, that means I would have 2 rows and 3 columns. So I have 2 rows here, 1, 2, because rows go horizontal, and I'm going to add on some extra columns so that there's 3 columns total. So 2 rows, 3 columns, which makes a 2 by 3 array. Our next vocabulary word is product, and product is for multiplication. So rows times columns equal our product. Again, product, multiplication. For division, we use the word quotient. So if you have a total divided by a certain number of groups, to find the number in each group, that number in each group is called the quotient. So those are our vocabulary words. And if you want to, you can take the time to pause this video and write down the definitions and examples for multiplication, division, equal groups, arrays, product, and quotient. So we can solve word problems that use division using 3 different strategies. So first, you can draw it out, or you can use manipulatives, or you can use equations. So I'm going to show you how to do each of these. So for drawings, if I have 12 divided by 3 and I need to find the quotient, because division uses quotients, what I could do is draw it out. So I know that I have a total of 12 dots. So I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dots. And I need to divide these 12 dots equally, which means I need to share them equally with 3 groups. So I'm going to do 3 circles. So 1, 2, 3 circles. So I need to split these 3 dots, or these 12 dots, among these 3 groups, these 3 circles. So I'll cross off each dot as I place it into a group. Notice that 1 dot goes in the first group, 1 dot goes in the second group, and 1 dot goes in the third group. And then the pattern keeps repeating. So these are going to be equal groups because each group is going to have the same number of dots in it. It's being shared equally. So now I'm going to divide my last few dots among these circles or groups. All right, so now they're all equally divided. So we could see that we divided our 12 dots equally among 3 groups, 1, 2, 3, and now we have to figure out how many are in each group. So if we count the dots in any group, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So each time it gets 4 in each group. So you could write equals 4. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So that's one way, one strategy for how we could solve word problems involving division. So we could draw it out using our dots. Now another way we could have solved this is using our manipulatives. So whether you have stars or beads or beans, any of those could work. And we'll use the same method that we used for drawings, except we'll be able to touch these manipulatives. So I'm going to start for 12 divided by 3. I'll start by taking out 12 of my manipulative, which are gold stars. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 gold stars here, 12 gold stars total, and I need to divide or share these equally among 3 groups. So if I give one group 1 star, I'm going to also have to give the second group 1 star, and the third group also gets 1 star. So I'm going to do this one by one with all of my groups. All right, and I'm dividing my last few stars. Okay, so I have 3 groups. So here's my first group right here. Here's my second group right here. And here's my third group right here. So again, 12 stars total, divided by 3 groups, 1, 2, 3. And we have to figure out how many stars are in each group. So if we count any group, we'll get the same number of stars. So 1, 2, 3, 4 stars in this group, 1, 2, 3, 4 stars in the second group, and 1, 2, 3, 4 stars in the third group. So we can see that even when we use manipulatives, it still yields the same answer of 4 gold stars in each group. So in the drawings, we found out that 4 dots were in each group, and using the manipulatives, we found that 4 gold stars were in each group. So notice that it's the same answer both times. Now the last way you could solve this is through equations. So if I was to rewrite 12 divided by 3, if you know your division facts, then you would know that 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And it's also okay if you don't know your division facts, because looking back on our strategies of drawings and manipulatives, we see that we still got the answer of 4 both times. So our equation is 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And so division is the total number divided or shared equally among the number of groups to equal or to find the number in each group, which is the quotient. So again, if we have a total of 12 stars and we have to divide them into 3 groups, 1, 2, 3, we could find out that the number in each group, the number of stars in each group, is 4. And so we'll always solve these word problems using the structure of what I know, so what the word problem gives us, as well as what I need to know, so what we need to figure out, which is usually the quotient for these kinds of problems. Let's try a word problem together. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write what I know, and then leave some space, and then what I need to know, of some more space. So I can let you pause the video to do that now. All right, and after you're all done with that, let's read the word problem together. Liz bought 12 cookies to share equally between her 3 family members and herself. How many cookies will each person get? So let's start off with what we know. Okay, so based on the information provided here, we know that Liz bought 12 cookies, so there's going to be 12 cookies. So let's write that under what I know. Now we also know that she is going to split these 12 cookies between some people. And it's important to know how many people she's going to split it between. It says between her 3 family members and herself. So that's going to be a total of 4 people. 3 family members plus herself. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So we're going to write 4 people underneath the 12 cookies. So again, there's 12 cookies, and she needs to split them among 4 people. So now for what I need to know. Well, we need to know how many cookies each person will get. So we can write how many cookies will each person get. So you can write that on your piece of paper. And another way of saying how many cookies will each person get, what we're really looking for is the quotient. The quotient is the answer for this division of 12 divided by 4. So again, we're looking for that quotient. We're looking for how many cookies will each person get. So we can solve this using 3 different strategies: drawings, manipulatives, and equations. So let's start with drawings. So we know that there's 12 cookies, so let's use our dots to represent cookies. So I'll do 12 dots. 1, 2, 3, and you can do this on your piece of paper too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 cookies here, but we have 4 people. We have to split these 12 cookies among 4 people. So that means that we're going to have how many groups? If you said 4 groups, you're correct. So let's draw 4 circles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 circles. And we have to divide or share these cookies equally between each pile or each group. So I'll cross them off one by one as I place them into a pile so that it's nice and easy to keep track of them. So I'm putting a first cookie in each of the piles, and I'll put a second cookie in each of the piles, and a third cookie in each of the piles. And you can do the same on your piece of paper. All right, so now we should see that we have 3 cookies in each pile. 3 cookies in our first pile, 3 cookies in our second pile, 3 cookies in our third pile, and 3 cookies in our fourth pile. So each person will be getting 3 cookies. So no matter which pile the person picked, he would get 3 cookies. So say Liz picked this pile, she would get 3 cookies. If she picked this pile, she would still get 3 cookies. Same with this pile and this pile. So all the piles had 3 cookies. So each family member, as well as Liz, will get an equal number of cookies, which is 3. So when we answer how many cookies will each person get, each person will get 3 cookies. So 3 cookies each is what we can write, 3 cookies each. So we solved this problem using drawings. Now let's solve it another way using manipulatives. So with your beans or beads or gold stars, whatever you have, you're going to take out 12 of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So here I have 12 gold stars. And we have to divide these 12 gold stars or 12 cookies among 4 people, just like we did here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have to divide 12 cookies among 4 people. So in other words, we're going to have 4 different groups. So I'm going to put a first star in my first group, and a first star in my second group, and a first star in my third group, and a first star in my fourth group. Let's do the same with a second star for each group, and you can do the same using your manipulatives. After that, we're going to try for a third star or third cookie in each group. All right, so to find the number of cookies that each person will get, all we have to do is look at the number of cookies in any of these groups. So our first group has 1, 2, 3 cookies, our second group has 3 cookies, our third group has 3 cookies, and our fourth group has 3 cookies. So all groups have 3 cookies. So in other words, each person will get 3 cookies. Regardless of which pile they choose, they'll still end up with 3 cookies. So again, we'll write 3 cookies each. Each person will get 3 cookies. Okay, let's try this using our last strategy, equations. So in this case, we're going to be writing a division equation because the 12 cookies are being divided or shared equally between her 3 family members and herself, so between 4 people. So we would use this to help us, the what I know section, which says 12 cookies and 4 people. So we know that we have to divide these 12 cookies between 4 people. So what that equation would look like is 12, our total of 12, and you can write this on your piece of paper too, total of 12 divided by, so we'll be sure to include that division sign, divided by 4. And 4 is our number of groups, or in this case, the number of people. So I'll say the number of people. Number of people. Okay. And then we have to find out what 12 divided by 4 equals. So if you know your division facts, then you know that 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And if you don't know your division facts, that is also okay, because we already figured it out using our drawings and manipulative strategy. We already figured out that when we drew, we found 3 dots, or 3 cookies, in each group. And when we used our manipulatives, we found 3 gold stars, or 3 cookies in each group. So that's how we figured out that 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And 3 what? We always have to include our units, so we know that this one will be 3 cookies. 3 cookies each. So again, each person will get 3 cookies. So that is how we solved our first division word problem using our 3 strategies of drawings, manipulatives, and equations. Notice that no matter what strategy we used, we still got the same answer of 3 cookies each, 3 cookies each, and 3 cookies each. Let's try another word problem. So just like last time, if you could write what I know with some space on your paper, as well as what I need to know with some space on your paper, that'd be great. So I'll let you pause the video to do that. All right, so after you're done with that, we're going to read the word problem together. There were 27 soldiers total. The soldiers were divided into 3 groups. How many soldiers were in each group? All right, so right away we know that there's 27 soldiers total. So let's write 27 soldiers under the what I know part of our paper. So 27 soldiers. And the word problem also says the soldiers were divided into 3 groups. So let's write 3 groups underneath. 3 groups. And the problem is asking how many soldiers were in each group. How many soldiers were in each group? So basically it's asking for the quotient of 27 divided by 3. So let's write quotient under what I need to know, quotient. And again, quotient is the same as saying how many soldiers were in each group. It's kind of like the answer for division. Okay, so we can solve for how many soldiers were in each group, or the quotient, through 3 strategies, which are drawings, manipulatives, and equations. So let's start with drawings. So let's draw 27 dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay, so we have 27 dots, which represent our 27 soldiers. And we know that the soldiers were divided into 3 groups. So let's draw circles for our 3 groups. So we need 3 circles. All right, and now let's start putting the dots one by one into the circles. So as I place them in, I'm going to cross them out on my sheet to make sure that I don't accidentally duplicate a dot, meaning that I don't accidentally repeat the same dot. And you can do this on your paper as well, making sure to mark off the dots as you place them into a group. And making sure that we change groups each time so that one group doesn't get filled up before the other group does. All right, so now all of the groups are filled up. And so we have to figure out how many soldiers were in each group. So we could look at any group to figure this out. So our first group has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dots. So 9 soldiers are in our first group. Our second group has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dots as well. And our third group has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dots as well. So there are 9 soldiers in each group. 9 soldiers in our first group, 9 soldiers in our second group, and 9 soldiers in our third group. So we'll write 9 soldiers. That's our quotient. That's our answer. Okay. Now let's try the same thing, but using our strategy of manipulatives. It's always good to have other strategies in the back of our head, because we could see that this strategy of using drawings wasn't very efficient, because we had to do each of our 27 dots, and that was a lot of dots to draw, and it could have been kind of easy to mix up the numbers by doing maybe 26 dots or 28 dots. It's very easy to kind of confuse the number of dots. And so 27 dots is a lot to do, so it wasn't really the most efficient way. Let's try to see if manipulatives, using manipulatives, might be a little easier. So since there's 27 soldiers total, we need 27 of our beans, beads, stars, whatever we have. So let's count those out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can be getting 27 of your manipulative as well. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. All right, so here I have 27 gold stars, and you can have 27 beans or beads or whatever you have, 27. And it says that the soldiers were divided into 3 groups. So just like last time with our drawings, we're going to make 3 big circles. These represent the 3 groups that the soldiers were divided into. Okay. And just like we put the dots one at a time in the piles, we're going to do the same with the stars, putting them one at a time in a pile. And you can do the same with your manipulatives. So I added a first star and a second star to all of my groups. Now I'm adding a third star and a fourth star and a fifth star. Notice that we're adding them one by one. We don't fill up one pile before we fill up the others. They all get filled up one by one. And this shows that these piles are going to be equal groups. They all have the same number of stars in them. All right, so after you're done putting these stars or beans or beads one by one into the group, let's add up and see how many soldiers are in each group. So in our first group, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 soldiers are in our first group. Let's check our second group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9 soldiers are in our second group. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 soldiers are in our third group. Okay, so 9 soldiers in first group and second group and third group. They all have 9 soldiers in them. So let's write 9 soldiers. Because it's asking how many soldiers were in each group. So we wouldn't add all of this together because we already have the total. We already know that it's 27 soldiers total. Instead, we're solving for the number of soldiers that are in each group. And there's 9 soldiers in this group, 9 soldiers in this group, and 9 soldiers in this group. That's why our answer is 9 soldiers. So this strategy was a little more efficient because we didn't have to cross our stars out like we did when we had to cross out these dots. So this strategy worked a little bit better. But let's try another one too. Our third strategy is equations. And looking at our what I know section, we see that we have a total of 27 soldiers. The information was also here. And we have 3 groups, and the information was also here when it said the soldiers were divided into 3 groups. So 27 soldiers divided into 3 groups. So that's what our equation is going to start off as. 27 divided by 3. And then equals, and that's the quotient that we're solving for. So if you know your division facts, then you know that 27 divided by 3 is going to equal 9. And if you don't know your division facts, that is also okay, because we figured out through using our drawing strategy and our manipulative strategy, again using the dots and using those gold stars or beans or beads, we found out that in each pile there are going to be 9 soldiers. So we already figured it out. So 27 divided by 3 equals 9. Again, you use this either using your multiplication facts that you already knew, or by referring back to your drawings and manipulatives results, which already had the quotient. So again, 27 divided by 3 equals 9. So there are going to be 9 soldiers in each group. And I'm missing something right here. Do you know what I'm missing? Yes, if you said soldiers, you are correct. I have to make sure to always add that unit. That's very important. That way people don't assume, oh, 9 elephants, 9 stars, 9 cakes. It's always important to include the unit so we know exactly what we're talking about. 9 soldiers. Soldiers is my unit. I hope that you enjoyed today's math lesson on word problems using division. Just to recap what we did, we first reviewed our vocabulary words of multiplication, which is the rows by the columns to find the product. Then we reviewed our vocabulary word of division, which is the total divided by the number of groups, which will give us the number in each group. Next, we talked about equal groups, which is the same amount, the same number in each group. So for example, if I had 1 star in my first group, I would need 1 star in my second group. And if I had 3 stars in my first group, I would need 3 stars in my second group. So that's what equal groups are, again, the same amount in each group. After that, we had our vocabulary word of arrays, which is the rows by column. For example, I'm going to make a 2 by 3 array, which means that it has 2 rows, so rows are horizontal, so 1, 2, and then 3 columns, so 1, 2, 3, going up and down. So that's a 2 by 3 array. Next, we talked about our vocabulary words product, which is for multiplication, and quotient, which is for division. After we reviewed our vocabulary, we talked about our 3 strategies to solve for division word problems. Our 3 strategies were drawings using dots, manipulatives using stars, beans, beads, whatever you have, and equations, so solving for equations using our multiplication facts. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and enjoyed solving our word problems using division, and I'll see you back soon for another lesson.